The Galactic Council chamber had never witnessed such silence. Ambassador Zeth-Ka of the Vraxian Empire stood frozen, his four eyes wide with disbelief as the human's words echoed through the crystalline halls. The other delegates, representatives from dozens of species spanning 3 galaxy arms, sat motionless in their gravity pods and environmental suits. Captain Sarah Chen remained seated at the human delegation table, her fingers steepled, her expression calm as still water. She had spoken those words without raising her voice, without standing, without even unclenching her jaw, yet every being in the chamber felt the weight of absolute certainty behind them. You cannot be serious," Zeth-Ka finally managed, his translator struggling with the tremor in his voice. "Your species number's barely 8 billion. We command fleets that darken star systems." Sarah's lips curved into what might have been a smile on a less dangerous face. "Ambassador, with respect, you've made a fundamental error in your calculations." The Vraxian's carapace clicked nervously. His empire had consumed 17 species in the past millennium. They had reduced entire civilizations to ash and memory, yet something in the human's tone made his warrior's instincts scream warnings he couldn't understand. "Enlighten us," came the melodic voice of Counselor Yeath, the ethereal Celestian whose people had observed galactic politics for eons without taking sides. Even she leaned forward in her energy matrix, curious. Sarah stood slowly, deliberately, her hands clasped behind her back. "You see numbers. 8 billion humans on one small blue world. You calculate our industrial output, our military assets, our technological level, standard conquest mathematics." She began walking around the circular chamber, her footsteps the only sound. "But you've never asked the right question." "Which is?" Zeth-Ka demanded. "What makes a human dangerous isn't our technology or our numbers." Sarah paused before the massive view screen showing the disputed Kepler sector where Vraxian fleets had been massing. "It's what we do when we decide something is worth dying for." The holographic display shifted, showing archived footage from Earth's history. Battles' last stands, impossible odds overcome through sheer bloody-minded determination. "You want to know what 8 billion humans can do?" Sarah's voice remained conversational, almost friendly. "Let me tell you about Stalingrad, about the Alamo, about Thermopylae, small numbers holding lines against impossible odds, buying time with blood and bone and the absolute refusal to yield." Ambassador Crix of the Peaceful Harmony Collective shifted uncomfortably. "Captain Chen, surely you're not suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting anything," Sarah interrupted, her eyes never leaving Zeth-Ka. "I'm telling you what will happen. You want our colony worlds. You think because they're lightly defended, because we haven't militarized every system, that we're weak." She touched a control, and the display changed to show human settlements across dozens of worlds. Farming colonies, research stations, mining operations. They looked impossibly vulnerable. Every one of those worlds has humans on it. Humans who've left everything behind to build something new. Humans who've invested their lives, their children's futures in those places. Sarah's voice grew quieter, more dangerous. "You're not just declaring war on our fleet, Ambassador. You're declaring war on human nature itself." Zeth-Ka's mandibles clicked dismissively. "Your emotions make you weak. We've studied your kind. You form attachments, create vulnerabilities. We exploit these." Sarah laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "That's your fatal miscalculation. You think attachment makes us weak? Let me explain what happens when you threaten something a human cares about." The display shifted again, showing footage from humanity's recent expansion period. Colonial defense militias training with farming equipment, scientists jury-rigging weapons from mining tools, children learning to fight alongside adults. You see farmers and researchers. We see 8 billion people who've spent their entire evolutionary history learning one lesson over and over. When survival is on the line, there are no civilians. Sarah returned to her seat but didn't sit down. "Every human colony you attack won't just resist. They'll adapt, improvise, and turn everything around them into a weapon." The chamber remained silent, but the tension had shifted. Other delegates were exchanging glances, calculating. "Furthermore," Sarah continued, "you've made a strategic error that would amuse our military historians. You've given us something every human understands. A clear enemy with evil intent." She gestured to the assembled delegates. "Most species here have been individually conquered because you picked them off one at a time, isolated them, made them face you alone. But humans? We have a saying. Attack one of us, you attack all of us. Zethka's confidence finally showed its first crack. You would make this a total war? Your entire species? Ambassador, you still don't understand. Sarah's smile returned, cold and sharp as winter starlight. You've already made it a total war. The moment you decided our children weren't worthy of protection, you made it personal for every human alive. She pressed another control. The display now showed Earth itself, the blue marble that had spawned humanity. But the view zoomed out, revealing something that made several delegates gasp. The shipyards were gone. The massive orbital platforms that had been under construction for decades were empty, their hulls missing. The asteroid mining operations that had supplied raw materials were working at triple capacity, their output flowing toward coordinates that didn't appear on any public charts. Where, Zethka began, did you think we weren't listening to your communications? Tracking your fleet movements? Planning? Sarah's expression was almost pitying. While you were positioning forces and making demands, we were remembering something our species has never forgotten. The best defense is often a good offense. She sat down finally, leaning back in her chair with casual confidence. So yes, Ambassador Zethka, you want war? You've chosen doom. Not because we're stronger than you, though you might be surprised about that, but because you've given 8 billion humans something to be angry about. And we're very, very good at being angry. The silence stretched until Counselor Yith spoke, her voice filled with something like awe. Captain Chen, are you saying your entire species has been preparing for this? Sarah's smile became genuine for the first time. Counselor, we've been preparing for this for 50,000 years. We just didn't know it would be the Vraxians. She stood and collected her materials. The session is adjourned, gentlemen. Ambassador Zethka, you have 24 hours to withdraw your fleets from the Kepler sector. After that, she shrugged. Well, you'll find out what 8 billion humans can do when they're really motivated. As the human delegation filed out, leaving behind a chamber full of stunned silence, Zethka finally understood the true horror of his position. He hadn't just declared war on a species. He'd declared war on a weapon that had been 40,000 years in the making. And somewhere in the void between the stars, human ships were already moving.